Hi, welcome to the Dave and Juan More Time podcast. Funny, I don't think they need more time. What they need is more cowbell. This is Dave and Juan.
And 3, 2, 1.
We're back.
One more time.
Hey,
More time.
More time. I'm Dave.
I'm Juan. More time.
You know, the people could think we
You
kind of play.
usually say, and this is. Or
Oh, that's
maybe
right.
you don't.
All right, we'll do it again. I'm Dave,
And I'm Juan.
and this is Dave and Juan.
More time.
There you go. There you go. We were kidding before, but I shouldn't say I had to actually work today. I was doing other things today that required me to be on camera for a long time. So when we
Things
got
that
on,
you get paid to do.
things, yeah, you actually get. Yeah, things that you actually get paid to do. So I even wore a button-down shirt today, man.
I noticed how fancy you looked. I was trying to decide if
this
my
is fancy.
T-shirt was too ratty, and then you
No,
pop in
it's
with a
all
button
good.
down.
It's all good. No, it's not. No, we're not normally be doing. I'm also realizing it's sort of orangey. Orange is my favorite color, which is bizarre, but it's not a good clothes color. Of course, this is not the time for me
Yeah.
to be realizing that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a middle-aged guy going, I don't know that orange is particularly a good color. I'm so glad I was on a major call today with this thing on. But hey,
Well, if I'd stand up, you'd see just what color can clash with green, because these shorts are pretty much atrocious.
dude, the world we're living in right now, everybody for business doing this type of stuff. I call it the Jimmy Buffett sessions. Everybody is semi-presentable up here. Nobody's wearing shoes. Half of them now is just, it's life. It's where we are. So funny, and it's always, I've said this before. We do an episode each week, and you kind of figure everybody's watching an episode, but then you get comments from past episodes and the email. So people watch them whenever they watch them. But I got one guy that made me laugh, because apparently when I shared a story a few weeks ago about being, I don't want to say traumatized, but the image that will stay with me forever about my getting up and walking to the back of the class and, second grade teachers picking her nose. This guy emailed me. He said, dude, she was always picking her nose. Don't feel special. Like he said,
you just weren't attentive.
he called. Hey, I'm not going to call her. He said, man, she is always picking her nose, dude. That was nothing. That was kind of funny. We were talking about all the not the bar bands, but the club bands, and a friend of ours talked about, there was some outfit or some band called Buddy and Them. Really, I don't quite remember that.
Yeah. I saw a lot of bands. I don't remember Buddy.
They spent a long time coming up with that name. And
I'm guessing Buddy was the lead singer.
I'm guessing Buddy probably was the show, but my
Or
friend,
he owned the PA system at least.
might have been. My friend described it that way. He said, "Is this guy? He was always high." I don't know. That was just perception. I don't know if he said, but he sounded like Robert Plant when he sang. That was my friend.
Right.
That sounds like a fun time to me. Let's go watch this high Robert Plant guy sing. So hope he's still around. Other note, someone sent in that we're talking about John Waite and Cheap Trick and that concert, and I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You actually interviewed John Waite after that show.
Yeah, I was working managing the campus radio station then, so I got to go back and do that. And
I didn't get invited on that.
Well, it was
I got outranked.
exclusive.
Yeah.
I just remember the one question I asked him was about the color of his hair and if it was natural, because that's where I was at that point in my life.
Yeah. That's when he's sitting there just really appreciating college radio.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I'm glad I carved out a minute for you.
Was it you or our idiot friend that asked him why he didn't? He had an English accent. Asked why he didn't have an English accent.
Wasn't me.
That wasn't you.
That wasn't me.
That was the other knucklehead. Asked John Waite, why don't you sound like an English guy when you sing?
Sounds more like the Beatles singing.
Yeah, and I also forgot again the notes that come in. I was talking about Zebra being the band that I always thought was, the most talented band I'd ever seen that didn't quite. I actually introduced them once at the Lights.
The Lights, bruh.
At the Lights, bruh. I totally forgot about that. But and they always open with the same song. It always starts, like boom, boom, as I said before. So I didn't have a chance to get off the stage. So technically,
you were in the gig.
Dude, if they'd have handed me a tambourine, I'd have made Laurie Partridge look bad. I'd have torn
tambourines aren't that easy to play,
I'll take your word on it. I'm never tempted. Never tempted. We're talking about radio, flashback every now and then, radio. I hope the guy's still around. We're talking about some of the funny things back in the day. Well, the campus radio, and then for a while down on the bayou.
Golden Meadow.
The KLEB was the AM station right next door. When I say next door, it was people couldn't believe how tight those studios were. And it was fun when I started doing mornings. I have a tendency to be kind of loud, and those studios were not very well insulated and soundproofed. And Mr. Dudley Bernard was Dudley was great. Me and Dudley would compare coffee in the morning. He liked when I showed up and make it strong. I remember telling me that one time. Dave, I like when you make the coffee. It's good and strong. Some of these people make the coffee. They don't know how to make coffee. Yeah, we know how to make coffee. So, but he was he'd have his show going on the Cajun show, French. And I got to the point because I was so I'd have to, a lot of times I was going to do something, I have to open the door just to make sure he wasn't on air. Because one of the funnier times was my light went off, the outside light on air light went off, and get a knock on and I was like, yeah, it's Mr. Dud. Boy, Dave, do they give you 2 checks a week? No, sir. Because they really should. I think you on my show. I can hear you. I was like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Dud.
Yeah, because when I used to do news, my studio was just right across the hall from yours, but we had a window.
You could see AM. You could see AM.
Yeah. So when you and I stopped talking, I'd tap on the window so I could do,
I never saw this.
News.
Yeah, that was a funny thing. We did that for a while, and we never saw each other. So and sometimes I'd have to listen to the stairwell to see if I could hear you coming up. I guess, all right, here the door closed. All right, Juan's ready for the news, and I'd click it and we'd start. But then sometimes I had to make when I clicked, I'd say, hey, here's Juan Semino. I hope. Hey. But the other thing I was thinking of, and I don't know who the guy is, but you get requests and everything was funny. And they had this cat that I don't know what the job's called, but he was the Golden Meadow bridge, the lift bridge,
the lift guy.
Yeah, whether they're the bridge tender, whatever you call these guys. And he called up regularly to request. I forget what he requested, but stuff. And
not like he was doing a lot of other things.
Well, hey, look at the boats. Well, it's an important job. It's an important job. So, we don't know. You don't know what the protocols are for.
Here's what I can remember, because I would drive to work on the 308 side, and if you're not from the bayou, you have no clue what I just meant.
That's the road of death right there. 308 is everybody down there says, "Oh man, don't take 308 in the morning, bro. That's the road of that's okay."
I still take 308 because I can drive it with my knee. So it's easy.
That's why it's the road of death. Guys like you.
But if there was a shrimp boat coming down the bayou from as far as the eyes could see, if there was something cutting through the fog that looked like a boat that was maybe 10 minutes away and you were sitting on the other side, they wasn't putting the bridge down. You was just stuck.
Oh man, punch it. Yeah, you grew up down there. You learned to chase boats. You would figure out when you could. But this guy requests. So one day I said, I still remember asking him this. I said, so you can blow that horn? Yeah. Anytime you want. Well, I'm not supposed to, but so I tell you what, man, I'll take your request if you take my request. And I had him live on the air, and I would just say, okay, we could do like the what was it? What show was that?
Green Acres.
Green Acres. Yeah. I remember doing. All right, we're gonna do Green Acres. Ready? And I mean, if you've never been around a bridge, those horns are
It's
loud.
Yeah.
And this is like 6:15 in the morning. That was actually a pretty good segue because I went right from that into his request, and he was thrilled. And we did that a few times, and I'd have people call up and say, "Man, you're not choking. We can hear that." People all over Golden Meadow. I hope that guy never got in trouble. So I got a feeling he was.
Hopefully, he's not there anymore to get in trouble.
I'm hoping he's aspiring to something else, but no, again, not saying that. But show some love for those those bridge tenders, man. Important jobs. I still wish we could ever decide on what's it called when the bridge is open. What does that mean? Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, oh man, the bridge is open. But wait, open to what?
In any other community, it means you could pass.
Oh yeah, or oh man, the bridge is closed. Was that could be a good thing, right? Closed means you can, the only thing you could ever get was I caught the bridge. Man, I caught the bridge.
See, bayou has its own use of verbs. I caught it. That could mean, I didn't snag it. It was.
Well, you think it's the things you grow up. Words you use. The first time when we moved, I was living up in Georgia, and I grew up. It was always come see, like my parents, whenever it was they wanted you to come. Hey, come see. And I'm never going to forget, I was in an office doing something one day, and I wanted our CFO was, he was about my age. He was an old guy. Yeah. We're talking to him, and his name's Howard. I said, Howard, you here? Come see. What? Come see. And he comes down the hall and says, do you mean come here? That's what I told him. I said, dude, come here, come see, come taste. I don't care. I just need you in this room. But it's like, oh yeah, people don't all say that. That's
a couple of weeks ago, I was on the phone at work and calling a client, and who said, hang on. And she was talking to someone else, and she literally said, come see. And I bust out laughing, and I said, oh gosh, tell me where you're from. And she was from like New Iberia area out there.
Okay.
And I said, I knew come see's not, that's not just anywhere.
The winning for the Bayou touch of the week, a buddy of mine sent me a picture of what's called I forgive me for saying this wrong. I call it like a Chadron.
Chadron, yeah.
Oh, you know?
Thistle. Yes.
Look at you.
Yes, man. I had one growing in my yard last week.
Did you
hadn't
eat
cut
it?
the grass in a while. No, I don't eat them. My dad would have eaten it.
No way. No way. Hey, that's my friend there. He's, oh man, it's that time of year. Keep some gloves and a knife in your car. It's Chadron season. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I even texted him saying, what do you mean? Oh yeah, you cut the top off and peel off the leaves and get the strings, and you eat it with vinegar, salt, and pepper. I'm like,
say it tastes like celery, but I'm not a big celery fan. So
I'll eat celery, but I don't randomly like. Okay, don't get me wrong. Okay, I will remember
it's not
that.
a pretty plant, so.
You got to look at who looked at that and said, probably the same guy that first ate crab, right? Like that old joke.
How do you get into that?
That old joke. Who looked at a crab and thought, man, I bet that's good. All right. Same thing with a Chadron. But again, it's good to know if
you're starving.
Hey, look, man. If everything, if we go back to nature, we gotta start hunting and stuff again, because heaven help us, like our ancestors. My grandpa wouldn't have missed a lick. My grandpa, most of them wouldn't have missed, power goes out, everything. They grew up. That's when you perspective, right? Which we talk about that about a couple of weeks back. We talked about how we were raised and discipline. We're talking about discipline. I just think about how soft in many ways we've become. I still
dude.
Yeah. No, I still remember I was in high school, maybe early college. On the weekends, on top of everything else I was doing, I'd mow lawns for my grandpa. It's quick cash, right? And he was doing something in a detached shed, and I forget what I was talking about at the refrigerator back then. I don't even remember what the conversation was, but it came to well, yeah, if it goes out, I'm gonna have to salt that. And I said, what you mean salt that? He goes, yeah, you salt meat. I'm like, salt meat. And he explained to me,
Preserves it.
yes, they grew up when he was a kid, they didn't have electricity. So,
Mhm.
or obviously refrigeration. So they salted their meat. And I'm thinking, man, power goes out in my house for an hour. I'm like panicked. Like, oh man, we might lose the stuff in the freezer. And our grandpas were salting meat,
Yeah, my
growing.
dad tells me when he grew up, the he said that they could only eat pork in the winter because the salt wouldn't keep it in
Oh,
the
wow.
summer.
Wow.
And
That's
he
almost biblical.
still
That's almost biblical, man. That's like, thou shalt not eat pig in the summer.
he still calls a refrigerator an icebox.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my mom, I don't know if my mom still does. She probably does. I grew up calling it the icebox. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did.
Wasn't until I
When
married some up city homo person.
my
Married me a Vanderbilt grad that I started
yeah,
calling
well,
it a refrigerator.
private school and all.
What you gonna do?
My dad would also call the cane harvester, which is now a combine, but he would call it the machine. And his
Makes sense.
father was a sugar farmer as well back when they used to do it with mules and everything. And so I just always figured it probably was the machine, the one thing that they had that was mechanized.
That's right.
And so that's what they refer to it as, the machine.
Well, again, different times. Fixing things. That's another one. I grew up helping my dad fix things, and help being a relative term. My running line was I was the monkey. I was just I hold this, do that, go get me this. Sometimes, and my mom will still say that. Sometimes I think my dad just had me around just for moral support. I mean, I don't
Give me
right.
that wrench.
If that, right? It's like, there were things going on that I really didn't need to be a part of, but I was there and I paid attention. And I probably learned how to tweak a few things and fix it because it was back in those days, they fixed everything. I mean, little, if
Oh yeah.
car broke. I remember him fixing a radio. Who fixes a radio? Rewire you just did. But the other thing too, and it's nobody wants this, but we joke about raising kids and generations. And I can promise you, one of the most useful traits any young person can have growing up is one that you don't want, and that's to be at least a little poor, right? And when I say that, I'm not talking about hungry. I'm not talking about. I'm not belittling any of that. But to grow up not just being able to replace everything at any time, right?
Yeah.
And we grow up and we try and it's these mistakes. You're doing it while you're doing them. Right. Because I always say, oh no, they got to learn and you got to, and it's in your mind, you want your kids to have, we always want our kids to do better.
Right.
You always think of, the kids you went to school with that had everything and all the new thing. And then the funny thing is you look back later on, 75% of them didn't turn out. You look back and you think, oh man, you kind of peaked in junior high, or like high school was it because once you had to start doing this for yourself, you really couldn't. And
it didn't go that well.
Yeah. But nobody wants to hear that. Right.
Now, my oldest son is, I describe him as a minimalist, or my granola child is what I call him.
Granola child.
And he's the type of guy, he'll move and he may not buy any furniture because he knows he's only going to be there for a year. And
just a year.
And why move it again? But you sit back and you say, gosh, I wish I could be that non-materialistic. But on the other side of your, good to be a little poor, and he's not, he's got a good job, makes good money. But there's the other side when I could see that that's where he was going. It's like, I want you to be somewhat materialistic because I want you to know the value of earning some money.
Yeah, it's and they're all going to be different.
My one calls AAA if he's got a flat.
Oh, dude. I to my youngest credit. So he's the 20-year-old back living. So my 22-year-old is on campus because his campus is a little more a little more sane as far as they're letting them live life. In fact, I think he's in a
Mhm.
Zumba. I think he's in a Zumba class right now. As a matter of fact, I texted him earlier today. Going to Zumba? Yes, sir. All right. All right. He's Zumbaing out. But my other one works at part-time, just take him. We made him, that's about my only put the hammer down kind of thing. When he started school, I made him keep his job. He was working at a grocery store, and big chain here in Texas, HEB. And I said, no, you're going to keep that. I don't care. You won't keep. And part of the reason is that family gets 10% discount. So he ain't ever quit. I mean, I love pulling out that little card and getting that swipe. But the other day he was at work, and I had to head off somewhere, and I forget what I needed, but I was I'm gonna swing into HEB and pick something up. And when I pulled in, his truck was sort of cockeyed in the parking lot. I was like, oh, what's going on? And as it turns out, one of the guys who works in the HEB had a dead battery. So my son had a truck. It used to be my truck, right? Truck. Yeah. He's got jumper cables. My son has jumper cables.
Impressive.
Okay. Now that's about where it ends. Okay. Thank the Lord Almighty that somebody else saw these two guys who had neither of them have jumped a car in their lives. We're about to blow. I mean, I wasn't there, and maybe they were doing that. I think my kid he's pretty cautious. He's not cautious for most of life. He's cautious with this kind of stuff. But when I got there, they were trying to, my son's in his truck, and it's all hooked up correctly because some man, some shopper set him up, and this guy's car was just dead.
Yeah.
What you going to do? And I was telling this guy, young guy, and it's kind of funny because part of me felt good because, wow, I am talking to one of the few other, less about cars than my son. Like this is, and I don't know a lot. I'm pretty good with like jumping the battery and stuff, and I was just explaining. I said, son, talk to him. Do you have a ride? Can you contact somebody? But I said, this is about the extent of my knowledge of how vehicles work. Your battery is dead. And man,
his own store.
It's dead. It's not taking a charge. It's
pour a Coke on it.
Yeah. My son's revving the truck. It's not even doing. It's not doing.
Does that even do anything when you rev the engine?
I don't know. It feels good. I said it's doing whatever. And I said, how old is this battery? So I got it last year. I'm like, it didn't look like a 1-year-old battery. I was like, and it was not a very old car. I mean, it was an older car. I said, where'd you get this? Well, I got it at I think it was an AutoZone. Come to think of it, the guy that sold it to me looked kind of shady. And I'm like, okay, we're getting into more detail than you think you bought it at an AutoZone from a guy that looked kind of shady. I'm looking at the battery. The battery says 7/18. All right. So at battery, I said, I think this means July of 18. Yeah. And oh, by the way, it says Walmart on this battery. So, I'm just trying.
I bought it on the street. The guy might have been in front of AutoZone.
At this point, I'm kind of curious, and I shouldn't be. I'm just like, it's a guy. I'm just trying to help the kid out, but I'm like, son, this is weird stuff. So the other thing about not fixing stuff or not being able to fix stuff like our fathers did, I can fix some things, and I am especially like it's sad that I doubt I have a prouder moment than when I go into my junk drawer for something that I did not throw away, something my wife fusses, and I really have about 2 junk drawers now. It's just stuff, random wire, random bolts and screws. And I grew up with, man, that's a good piece of metal. Don't throw that away.
Stick that under the shed.
Hey, true story. And I know we shouldn't say true story because every time we say true story,
everything else is a lie.
So I had an edger, one of these electric edgers for your sidewalks and stuff. And you go through those metal, the blades.
You wear them concrete, man. They're sparking up.
Yeah, you got to change them every now. But I refuse to throw the old ones away. I just do it. That's a good piece of metal. You never know. It's got a perfect hole in the middle, and
I might need a shim one day.
Dude, I got in my garage various nails everywhere, and I just have random things, and it always drives my wife crazy. Well, My son was in for a while. He went to, there's a private school here, and they're kind of fun with their, I don't know how to say that, but the projects and stuff. It's always one of these, private school projects get a little out of control sometimes. And I forget what it was. They had to, this one wasn't a major one, but it was something for a class where they had to, some kind of Indian artifacts, or I forget what it was that, to make. And I helped him, and we made a tomahawk out of
a blade,
dude. And it was beyond that. It was, I had trimmed a couple of years ago. I trimmed the crepe myrtle trees in my yard. I ain't throwing away a good stick. I'm not throwing away good sticks. I mean, a good stick, like a good walk, man, I had one of those 2 or 3 year old crepe myrtle, sticks that I refuse to throw away, cut that down, got my old dude. That was so impressive. The teacher asked to hang it on the wall in class after that little, it is sad how proud I was.
Yeah. So you let her have the stick?
Oh, you mean the teacher?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they kept it. I didn't care. Yeah. I'm like, that's, it was purpose done. There you go. It's it was a stick and a piece of metal, man. Don't throw away a good piece of metal.
We moved a few years ago. We downsized, and to go through the garage and just see all of the stuff I had. And the hardest part was, no, I'm not getting rid of this, because literally, downsize like 50%. Yeah. And it's, you never know when I'm going to need that. And then, but the other side, I had, triplicate of most tools at least. Yeah. Because, I'd keep things organized for a month and just throw it wherever. And when I needed it, I couldn't find it. So I'd just go buy another one.
And I learned that with my dad's tools. We moved from the house they were in. Thankfully, we didn't actually downsize them. It was actually a bigger house when we moved them a few years ago, and just that moving process. So I guess that's where I'm heading. I'm the same way. I've got even tools I don't use. I got a lot of, oh my gosh, the tools. I mean, the stuff you find, and every version of it. You can trace like drills from it seemed like the very first ones. Like, wow, was this the first electric drill that ever? Because it could be like and all the way to the new stuff, and you get these dumb, like you said, I like your line. I'm cheaper than I am lazy, or something. Well, I don't know that I'm that. I don't mind work that I can do. I don't repair things very often because I'm going to mess them up. So I don't mind labor. Like, I'll do yard work. I enjoy that. So we were moving my parents a couple of years ago, and it was, I guess, May, June. I don't know. It was hot. South Louisiana. It was hot. And I'm a hard head. I'm like, I'm not gonna make anybody else do the work that, right. I cleaned out the attic. I was the guy. And I started it, I got out there, and I had people I got up in that attic around, I guess, 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And it was just getting warm. And I did that till about 4 in the afternoon. And it's one of those things late in the day, midway through it, you realize I might die. Like, this is, I'd have to come down, and I just have to chug an entire Gatorade. I come on down, I chug a Gatorade, have to run water. And other people there talking sense into me, but my wife wasn't. She was doing something else, because she's the one that could have shut me down. Like, if my wife would have seen, she'd have said, "No, idiot, I'm the one that if you drop dead here, I'm the one that has to," like, I know she'd have called it off. My rest of my family was like, "You sure you're good, Dave?" I got it. I
don't know how people work in attics. I don't. This was years ago. Right after my wife and I first got married. We had an attic in the house, but in the garage, it opened up. Yeah, there was no attic door in there, but there was plenty of storage space. And so, cheaper than lazy, I decided I'm going to put an attic in there. Yeah, I'll go buy the door and the
why wouldn't you?
The ladder. And I also don't like to ask for help. And so to put an attic door in, there's a combination of being on the outside and being on the inside.
It
Well,
doesn't
a
look
good bit
easy.
of it works on the inside. So at some point, I'm now in the attic, pulling this door up and attaching it. So I can't open it. I can't get the door thing open. So I'm stuck in the attic. And Joey said, "Do you want me to go get George?" Who was an old guy that lived next to us. It's like, oh, yeah, please, and hurry up.
It's so, and you wonder, so when you do some dumb things like I've done, with me, it's getting on a ladder, and I'm getting a little more, sane as I get older. But like I said, I'm not afraid of heights. And apparently I'm not afraid to be on top of a ladder because I've done some dumb things. There was one I was just so thankful. It was right outside the back of the house. And my wife was in the living room, but thankfully not looking in our direction. And we had a big pecan tree back here, and of an oak tree that was kind of close to the house. And the branches were, I'll cut one of the branches. And it was high enough that I have one of these big long tree saws on a pole. Right.
The death pole that'll kill you to work.
Yeah. Well, okay, whatever. And it was so high, I actually had to get on a ladder.
Oh no.
So I had to get on a ladder. I got about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 feet up, whatever the ladder was. I got up on a ladder, and I know what I'm doing, right? I see where the song going. I went to school. I know how gravity works, and thing is, when you don't cut clean, when you get toward the bottom of that branch, if it doesn't go clean through, there's enough
It'll
bark. There's enough bark left on that bad boy that instead of it falling like it's supposed to, it does. And then when it's coming back on the pendulum, dude, all bets are off. And I'm standing there on the ladder, and I saw it happen, and it's the slow motion thing of,
oh gosh, this is gonna knock me down.
Dude, and it's one of those things, but I had enough sense to think, okay, where's that saw? I was conscious of where the saw was, because like if I go down or this thing knocks, I don't want that saw coming at me. And I just hung on to the ladder, and that branch just whacked me. I mean, just bam, and it hit me more than the ladder. And I don't know how it didn't knock the ladder over, but like basically I stopped the momentum of this branch with my side.
Gosh.
And it just like bam, and that's again, you kind of you hesitate, like, okay, I'm alive. I got this. And then this is when you know you've been married for a while. What do you think's my first thought as I stand there on top of a ladder with a blade and a big old saw, I'm bouncing here, and a branch that just almost knocked me, I don't know if it'd kill me, but it messed me up pretty bad. What's my first thought? Man, I hope my wife didn't see that. I hope she's doing something else, because I was I did not want to hear, and thankfully she was doing something else, and I got everything down. I only told her later, yeah, I'm sort of done cutting branches today. All right. Once again, that time of the week where we push the button, see if it's stuck.
Cross our fingers.
Yeah, see if it's stuck.
I think we're getting good, man. The problem is we're getting too confident. Now's the time we're going to mess up.
Let's not jinx it. But look, we appreciate all of you being here with us this week, or whenever it is you're seeing this, if it's this week or next week or whenever. Please feel free to reach out to us. We love hearing from you. Love getting the notes. Dave and Juan at protonmail.com. And
check us out on YouTube. Yep. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. We're on Facebook too. That's where we push this out. So we're here to have fun. Hope you're having fun with us.
Come hang out with us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, hope all of you have a wonderful week. Be safe, and we'll see you later. Love you, man. Peace.
Back at you.